Somebody is stealing all the power. There we go, that's better. Back up again. Sorry about that. Sad loss of ENG3KKD this week. Main work here has been on DVB-T, having released the beta capability for DVB-T receive for Portsdown. Thanks to Charles G4GUO, we now have some code for transmit on DVB-T, and I'm trying to integrate that into Portsdown. There was a question earlier about how do you get the NUCA tuners. Tuners are out of stock at the moment, and when those go back in stock, then all the parts will go into the shop, but we're on a 4 to 6 week lead time on that. So nothing doing on the NUCAs at the moment, only those with them will have them. And the main problem is the tuners. So, good evening to Michelle. And yes, I've got 20% null packets, but it works. Round to Jim, G7NTG to take it first. It will be G0MJW next, G4FKK, G7JTT, G4XAT, G4HJW, G8GTZ, G0DQH, GI4DOH. I'll put that list in the chat shortly. But round to Jim, G7NTG first, from G8GKQ and the BATC Net.
Make sure the sound works before I mute it. And it does. Yeah, good evening all. Horrible day, isn't it? Up north they got a lot of snow. My daughter up in Barnsley, they've got a lot of snow there, and if that gets on your dish, I don't suppose there'll be much of a signal. Been a bit busy with the power amplifiers, and got consistent results from this one now. Look at the transistor type, which is a single transistor. Some of them are double transistors which don't convert so well. I've still got waiting for one to come. I've successfully done 3 of these, and they vary between 220 and 260 watts. And I run the output stage at 32 volts and the driver stages at 28 volts. So if anybody wants the details on conversion of these, I will gladly pass them on to you. All you have to do is email me, and you can get me on qrz.com, and I'll give you full details, because I think there's quite a few of these have been sold from eBay to various amateurs for the use on the satellite. So if you want some info, just send me an email and I'm happy to pass the info on to you. You can also see that I've got a couple of completed ones down here. This one and this one. Slightly different orientation, and the one on the end's a 23 SEMS amplifier, because in our local group we've got a new member, my son, who just got his intermediate, is now receiving TV signals. He's got an antenna, so that's for him. And also here we have a Ryde receiver. I'll see if I can hold it. You can see it. Built in another one of the same boxes, which are very good. This is a mains driven one, with the big supply is the 12 volt one, and the little supply to the northeast of it is the 5.2 volt supply. And it's got no buttons on it. It's very, very simple. It just works with a remote control. So that's that. So I'm using a different one at the moment, but this one works just as well. They need a fair size to work. Okay then, well, that's enough from me. I think this seems to have a good group of us on tonight. There seem to be a lot of us. So I'm going to pass it on to G0MJW from G7NTG.
Right, hopefully I've got a signal. With a few seconds I might have some audio. Yep, I have, so let's turn that down. Right, so what have I been up to? Not a lot really, apart from I've written some to make an Arduino my power, send it to, well, it's connected as a web server, so I can tell how much power I'm running, which is quite a lot for me, 10 watts at the moment. Don't believe the reverse power yet, it's not been calibrated, it's just an indicator really, see if it does anything unusual. Right, anyway, picture of me, that might be a little bit less desirable for everybody, but there you are. Yeah, Jim, I've got some boards like that. I must dig them out. I was just, when you were talking, I was just thinking, oh, let me get them out, and then I realised they're in the bottom of one of these things that's behind me here, and there are lots of things on top of it, so it'll take me a while to get it out, but I might do that before the next round of overs if we have one. So let's see. The only other thing is, what was I going to show? I'm going to show the knucker, because the knucker I showed you last week has now been put in a box. So if I go over to the other camera, here is the knucker in the box. Same box as the standard mini tuner, as you can see. Unlike Jim, I don't really go in for labels. So DATV has become a black box affair pretty much, and that's it. So that's pretty much all I've done in terms of DATV stuff. Thank you, Noel. Right, a lot of people on, so good to see that, and rather than have a long over, I think what I'll do is I'll pass it straight on, and I believe it's to Martin, I think. Is it? I don't know. Let's have a go. G4FKK anyway, G0MJW. Just put up the test card.
Oh, good, it is working. G4FKK. Good evening, all. My OBS suddenly stopped working just before you put it over, Mike. So I've been frantically resetting everything here. Anyway, it seems to be working now. And a very good evening, everyone. All good pictures so far. That's a cracking picture you've got there, Mike. H264333, much better than what I'm getting at the moment. But I'm driving the Pluto directly from OBS. I still haven't quite tamed the FFmpeg scripts yet. Jim, the amplifier looks good. I'm running, if I go over to that camera, there's a picture of the one I'm using at the moment. I don't think it's quite the same as the one you showed, but it's the one that Gareth and you and I were sourcing. Well, Gareth was sourcing, I think, and it works very well. It's got one of your huge heat sinks on it, and 3 still not fixed down fans, but it seems to work quite well. It doesn't get very hot, unlike the other one I was using. The other breakthrough here is the knucker. If I go over to that one, this isn't a very good camera, I'm afraid, but there's my knucker, not in a box. But I've been having some success with it today, transmitting across the shack on DVB-T, but still can't quite work out what to DATV Express prefers for its settings. The best thing about the Knucker, no, it's not the best thing, but one great thing about the Knucker is on the back of it is a definition of what a Knucker is, but it's which I thought was very good. And I've updated the Portsdown 4 to the latest version that Dave put up a few days ago, and that's all appears to be working well too. So there you go. Right, here's a big net, so I'll whiz it round. I think it's John next, isn't it? G7JTT. Round to you, John. Let me just do this. See you all later, hopefully. Bye.
Right, evening all. See myself? Yes, I'm here. Good. I'll just lean across and kill the audio in case the stream catches up. All good stuff. I have also been playing with a Knucker, and it is mine. It's loosely in a box, and I have also had TV across the shack on it, which is great. I'm planning a bit of time tomorrow with Martin to try and find out what settings work on our Plutos and so on. What else? Amplifier wise, I'll just go mobile for a moment. This is another one of the amplifiers that Jim was waving around. That's my version of it. It's got one of those little switch mode power supplies for doing the 28 and from the 32, and I'm running a temperature on the heat sink, which is that one there, and the air out, which is that one there. So I'm fairly convinced that it's working pretty well. I haven't got decent audio on anything yet, because none of my monitors have got audio in them, strangely. So I won't waffle on. Looking for who it's for next, and I can see that it's G4HJW. Right, okay, so over to you, and maybe pop up later for another over. That's it, me gone.
That level was low, I don't know why. Okay, evening everybody, G4HJW near Cambridge. I should be able to find the camera somewhere. Here we go. Yes, evening, thanks for that. Guys, your audio was the best audio of anyone I've heard. It was completely unbroken, so I wouldn't do too much with it if I were you. It was very good. And a good strong signal as well. And as Dave said, yes, very sad week here in around Cambridge. Ian KKD is pretty much the nearest amateur to me, but bar one, that is. And over the last decade I got to know Ian very well, because in normal times we had Thursday lunch meetings, a group of maybe 4 or 5 of us, initially at Milton at the lovely country park there, and then they just shut up shop and we ended up in a small cafe in Cambridge, and that was good. And Ian was the first one who wanted to self-isolate, so there's a little bit of irony there. But anyway, at nearly 88, I don't think Ian owed anything much, and well, I mean, I guess a lot of you will have known him a lot longer than me. And I was saying to Dave on email that I looked through one of Ian's videos, 60 years of TV, I think it was called, and he showed his BATC certificate, and he joined 9 days before I was born, and I could be younger than I am, so it's a long, long time ago. But I remember all those call signs, because I think, like most of us, as kids, we were interested in radio and TV. So there we are. Anyway, for anyone who's interested, the funeral's on the 27th, but of course it's even within the family they're having to isolate. So I mean, for me, it'll just be a case of standing in the street between the house and the church, I'm afraid. Sad really, isn't it? Because Ian would have got a lot of people here. Anyway, enough of that. I have been building at a lot lower frequency. I don't know whether that will show up. 70 megs, but I'm using paralleled, slightly short quarter wave lines of 25 ohm cable. But I don't think it's meant as RF cable, but it does work really well. And that's a usual sort of 2 gig cellular device that we all seem to be playing with these days. And they seem to work very well down at HF as well, so you never need to be short of a device on any of the bands below 2 gigs anyway, so that's good. I only started on that today, so I'm just throwing on quarter wave sections till I get somewhere near optimum, and then that will replace a 25 watt PA which I finished last week, because 4 meters may not be exciting for some people, but it's a new band for me, or the sideband area is, and so the UKAC next week will be fun for me at least. So I wanted a PA working for that, and that was a bipolar. I probably said last week, when I looked at the date code, it said 1979, which when I counted the years up was a bit embarrassing. Anyway, enough for me. I think it goes on to Noel, doesn't it? So I'll go back to that. On to you, Noel, and yeah, G4H.
Okay, good. Good evening all. Limited feature station tonight. I rebuilt my main Portsdown system from a Portsdown 2020 portable in-house again. Yeah, probably. Rebuilt Portsdown 2020 to Portsdown 4, and never thought to try IPTS in until about half an hour ago. It doesn't work for some reason. So we're on single C920 camera tonight. But there we go. What's been going on here? Well, I suppose I need to say the magic Nooker word. And for those who are listening, we have now sold out. We have ordered this week 400 more tuners. So, but they aren't due for delivery until 6-7 weeks, provided we can get PayPal to handle over the money. So we're thinking sometime in March, and we'll order some more PCBs. We'll order some more PCBs when before then. How much PCBs? I forget I bought. That many. There's 25 there. Well, there isn't 25 there. There was 25. And I think we'll end up with about 10 left of this batch. But we will order some more PCBs before the tuners come in, and by then the software should have been mature anyway. So just in time for the sporadic season, and should be good fun. Yeah, there's a reason, Tim. That's probably yours. Yeah, I forgot to post it. Sorry, Tim. It'll be in the post tomorrow. Right, what else? Interesting. Of course, we now got Portsdown Receive. And if you had Portsdown Transmit, Wales, yes. If you had Portsdown Transmit, Dave, not going to be a lot of good apart from people who've got two Portsdown 4s. However, that's the main reason why I converted my main shack to a Portsdown 4, because my other system is a Portsdown 4 as well. So I'm already planning to go out mobile. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, so I've got the 77's small PA back integrated into the Portsdown system, and I'll be going out on the way to the shops and the doctors, you understand, and do some mobile tests as soon as Dave releases Portsdown Transmit. Right, what else? Been a bit of PA activity around here as well. Different approach. I spotted those 77 PAs using a broadcast spec device, and the supplier got 10 of them on eBay. Well, he did have. They all sold out within about after I posted it on the forum. No. So that's on its way, so that should give me 100 watts on 70, which is rather nice. And I've also done a deal with one of our good fellow members who had a spare dual band 50 to 70 meg PA, so that's on its way as well. So I'm going to be building and a nice Schroff case I bought off eBay, a 19-inch rack Schroff case, and the intention is to build all of these into one Portsdown. Right, one more thing just to show. We talk about rides. I've got the minimal ride. I'm going to move the camera because sitting above the monitor is my ride. So that's it. That shows you how minimal it can be. Okay, fair enough. The mini tuner is in here. But, the actual Raspberry Pi sits there, and all of the band filtering and preamps and switching and everything is done in that box. So there we go. Oh, the other thing I said, I did buy, Gareth talked about some small driver units for 70 cents. I bought one of those and hooked it up tonight, and that does seem quite reasonable. So there we go. Right, I shall put it on to whoever's next. James is next. Okay, I'll hand hold the camera. Okay, 73, or not 73s, but James to take it, and G8GTZ on the BATC Net.
Okay, good evening everyone. Can I just check that I've got audio, which I have. From me tonight, a little bit different, a little bit lighter in view of the virus, and we're not able to go on holiday or anything like that, so I'm going to put a slide up, and it'll all fall into place in a second or two. So anyway, that's me to start, and here we go. Some of you may recognise this as being Perth in Western Australia. In 1981, my family and I emigrated there, and I joined CREST, the CB emergency service, as a volunteer. If I come down to the next slide, and the Wanneroo station was situated in Perth, and with two other stations in Sydney and Darwin, and the three stations covered the whole of Australia on CB radio. The station was a hut 10 foot off the ground, held underneath by three huge pine trees in a inverted V, with as a tower, and with another hut at the top, which they used to use for checking fires and things. And I did actually climb it once, but I never attempted it again. I'm having to read some of this, so you'll have to excuse me. The radio station itself was very well equipped, as well as having CB. They had 70 centimetres out there on FM as well. And all we did really was just man the station and just listen on the emergency channel for anything that was an emergency. If you look at the picture I'm sending at the moment, that's my car in the foreground. That's a Ford Laser with my crest on the passenger door, and it was actually made by Ford in Australia, but it's a copy of a Mazda 323. And if you look at the blue car, that is actually a Mazda 323, and to the left of that is a Holden. This picture was taken at Nangara Lake, some 10 miles or so from where I lived in Mullaloo. That lake is now dried up. There's nothing there now, it's all sand. We returned back to the UK in '83, and I became G1 FPN then. And then I took my Morse test at Ilfracombe Maritime Radio Station, and then became G0 DQH. The next slide is of our new home in Mullaloo, and the plot was a quarter-acre plot, which cost, believe it or not, $11,000, which I think was about £6,000, and the bungalow was another $22,000 on top of that. And to the left is my wife, or rather my ex-wife now. And it was we could see the ocean from there, and we could slide the windows back in the summer and have a nice cooling breeze come through. And they were fitted with fly screens, of course. The next slide of my family, and the cat belonged to my neighbour next door. And Sam came home from school and used to shout for McGinty, and he used to come bounding over the boundary between the two bungalows, and they got on very well. Now the next one, which you may actually smile about, is I'm watering the garden, or rather I'm using the hose on the garden. And in the background you can actually see there are no buildings at all, and that I suspect is pretty full up now with building. And the next one is of a barbecue we were having in a place called Joondalup, a couple of miles from where we lived, and there's a large lake there as well. And the last one, last but not least, is Mullaloo Beach, and my daughter to the right, my wife, or ex-wife rather, to the left. Super beach, and that's all white coral sand, and I'm looking forward to actually going on holiday again, instead of being just shut down like we are at the moment. Anyway, that's really it from me, and I'll pass it back to the next person, which is GI4DOH. This is G0DQH in Chandler's Ford, just 4 miles north of the city of Southampton.
One, two, three. Evening all, I think I have made it, just confirming everything's coming up on the screens, and as usual turn down the volume so as I don't distract myself. I haven't got exciting things to show. No, I'd say what's turned on. I've got VLC running there as well. Got one of the stations just mini tuner wasn't doing the sound very well for me. Yeah, I think all I can show is a pencil that's worn a bit since I was last on, and that's CW on the HF bands. Last week I was doing a talk on DATV to our local radio club, the Bangor District Amateur Radio Society, by way of Zoom, and the meeting started at 8 o'clock. So I did actually show some of what was going on the net, and I did a little demo of me popping up on Q100 and just receiving myself. Nothing exciting, but trying not to blind people with too much information, yet giving enough to make it look like something interesting and worth looking at. So apart from the preparation from that, took up all of that week, and the last week has been more trying to consolidate things. Like I've got an FT857 here, which I have used for the narrowband transponder on Q100 and trying to get it working for 70 centimeters for the UKAC this week. Meant digging out configuration files and working out what had to be connected to what power levels, what attenuators, and all that sort of thing. So a bit of time and effort has gone into documenting some of what I've already got here and have working, with a view to, if I don't touch it for a few months, I can actually come back and use it again because I've got the information there. So just looking at the DVB-T thing, is a whole new area for me, so I'll have to watch out for when things appear in the BATC shop and get going on that. Here my fan was picked up there on the amplifier. So I don't think I really have a lot more to say other than the little test card generator is suitably boxed with its little Raspberry Pi B and is doing the job for when I want it. I did have a problem last week with Zoom with the number of cameras that I had attached to the PC. I assume I was getting conflicts and couldn't get a consistent thing with 3 different cameras, one of them being the C920 and 2 of the cheap Chinese things, and that was causing problems with the little VGA input from the Raspberry Pi at the same time. Seems okay while I haven't got Zoom running at the same time. So I need to look at that a bit more closely before I try to do that sort of thing live again. It certainly gets the heart rate up. So I'll pass it on. I think John G7JTT, you're getting a second bite of the cherry. I think you had problems with the sound last time. Certainly the picture was okay here. So I don't know if we'll get another round because there are quite a few of us. If not, I'll say 7-3s to you all. So round to John G7JTT with the group. This is GI4DOH with the BATC group.
Fingers crossed. Are we going to get sound now? Yes, right. Mute. Apologies for that. I don't quite know what happened. I think it's because I'm using this virtual audio thing on. Why am I still getting sound? I didn't mute myself, sorry. Right, that's better. Right, yeah, I think it's something to do with the virtual audio thing crashed or something, I don't know. Anyway, it's working now, hopefully. Right, what I was going to show is primarily to do with optical stuff, but I need to find a 7-inch tube. So if anyone's got any access to 7-inch tubes, about 6 inches long, it will be very much appreciated. Anyway, right, so the idea is, I've shown the mirror before, and this is the better quality one, by the way. This one's, you can see the mirror finish on it's a lot better. So the idea is to sort of pretty much do the same as a telescope. So I bought one of those 3-watt devices, and it's mounted on one of these heat sinks. And the idea is going to be, I've put one screw in, but you can see there the screw going down there. I'm going to have 4 screws coming out. I've only put the one in for now, but and mount that within the tube. Now, I'm fairly confident that the heatsink itself, because it's fairly thin, it shouldn't cause me an issue on the beam. And I'm going to put it into a tube because, as Bernie said, you don't really want the light sort of coming back on yourself, etc. So that's what I'm going to play with. That's only a 3-watt one. Well, a Chinese 3-watt one. So hopefully that can be something to play with as and when I get time, which is the next thing. I officially almost become unemployed at the end of the month. So the main thing I've been doing all the time comes to an end because it's going back into a different department within the company I work with. So I will have potentially more time during the week, but I don't quite know what they're doing with me yet. So that's the only problem. And I'm sure there was something else I meant to say. Let me just quickly look. Nothing over there. Nothing there. No, I think that's it. So I'm going to wish everyone 7 threes because I'm pretty much going to have to get myself ready for bed, etc. The one thing I would like to get rid of is the early starts, but anyway, it's paying the bills at the moment. Oh, sorry, yes, there was one thing I've just remembered, bills. So I've finally been convinced to buy myself a Pluto, so I'm going to get one of those in the next few days or so, hopefully. So I've also seen a professional H.265 encoder box. It's a little bit more expensive than the Chinese ones, but I'm guessing that it might be a slightly better quality and possibly more reliable. So I may invest in one of those as well. But anyway, that's a different thing. So for Jim, I may be able to answer your issues with regards the Pluto soon.
G7JTT and the group G8GKQ. Okay, thanks very much. That was a good round. We'll try and get round again quickly. I'll just cover a couple of points. I'm working on a way of using NUCA with the Ryde hardware. It won't be well integrated. Oh, volume 11, sorry. I'll take it down a bit now. It won't be well integrated, but it'll mean that people with only one Portsdown 4 can test NUCA across the bench. I had some first success with that yesterday, but I need to integrate it into some menus, but that's going to work. The other thing that's going on in the Ryde world, and Tim will know about this, is getting QuickTune working with Ryde. Got Tim's bits and also some new code from Rob, trying to marry them together at the moment, but looking very hopeful for QuickTune with Ryde, which will increase its utility. The other thing I tried with NUCA was, does it work on 8 meg channels? So I looked up my local DVB-T mux. Yes, Mike, this is it. I looked up the local DVB-T mux, and it does. The trick, of course, is you have to then put in the channel number of the video within the stream that you want to view in VLC. So there'll be a modification coming out for the Portsdown to be able to enter the video channel number within the stream. But I was watching, not that you really want to do it, but you can watch BBC One on your Portsdown screen with no issues at all. It did work on the DVB-T2 HD streams, but the video player was starting to struggle. So yes, we've made an RTL dongle, Mike, but it's really good for testing. It does work. It does work well. Jim, thanks very much for sending those parts. Good to see the pictures of Perth. I could dig out some travel pictures, but we're here all night. That's about it, apart from to show you what's on the bench And over here, this is the ports down for transmitting DVB-T. It's got a Pluto inside the box. It goes to a big attenuator and up into my NACA, which is out of view there. And this is, this is the ports down that the NACA is connected to, and that's receiving it. And just on the background here in the spectrum analyzer, you can see the really square looking DVB-T waveform there. It would be squarer, except my spectrum analyzer isn't quite up to the job. But it's that's been really useful for testing, because you can see whether the thing's transmitting or not. Pluto with DE-ATV Express is a bit temperamental, but I hope to have Charles's new code for the Raspberry Pi works really well, and that seems to be pretty reliable. Right, we'll go round once again. Good night to you, John. Thanks for coming back up for the second time, but we won't call you in this time. So round to Jim, G7NTG in the group, G8GKQ.
Right, just wait till my sound comes up. Mute it. There we go. Yes, hello again. Yeah, not much else to show. We'll keep it fairly quick because we're running out of time. But I think a few people have one of these PCBs by Delta Electronics. That's my own yellow label on it. It's, if I get a bit closer, at 27.2 volts. It's rated at originally at 1500 watts, and I've tweaked the voltage, which you can do, and it works very nicely. The two sockets on the front, no, wrong end, this end, there's two 4.5mm sockets, and they can be adapted, as I have done with them, by buying some 5mm brass tube with 4mm bore, and then it'll accept 32 amp or better banana plugs, which the 4mm type plugs, which works very well, extremely good. The only thing you do need to do with this, you must add some fans. It does need cooling fans, so I mounted a couple of fans on the back. They fit very nicely, just about the right size. Need to file out some holes to fit them, and they're two 12-volt fans connected in series and wired across the output, and they work absolutely fine, not a problem at all. The fans I picked up for 10p each at a rally, and they work all right. Although nothing wrong with buying new ones. So there's another tip. I'm sure there was a guy in Antwerp or somewhere like that had hundreds and hundreds of those power supplies. So I'm sure some of the people watching have bought one. So that's how I've done it anyway, and it makes it immediately useful. Right, in that case I'm going to pass it round to Mike, so keep it short. So G0MJW from G7NTG, over to you, Mike.
Right, hopefully this is going to come up again. Yeah, there we go. Right, thanks Jim. Right, well there's a couple of things there. So I'll get straight down to it. Let me just mute myself so I don't get confused by hearing myself coming back. C920 camera. So first thing, these are the units I've got. Don't think they're the same as yours. In fact, I can see they're different. 230 watt devices, board. They came from the same source, I think, Bison or whatever. So those are the devices which need to be converted. I'll show you a bit more of those later, but this is my version of the one that you were just showing. Same sort of thing. I think there must be all sorts of different makes. I've put a power pole in the place that you put your other thing, but otherwise the same. I haven't put any fans on this one yet, but I certainly thought it was needing them, so I'll do that at some point. But I think I'll probably put a series resistor in there, because a 12-volt fan running off 12 volts running at full speed is going to be somewhat noisy, I think. Anyway, there's probably a better view of the PCB to give you an idea what it looks like. Give it a while to actually improve the resolution. I do wonder about those very narrow tracks and whether they'll supply 130 watts or 260 watts or whatever they're supposed to be, but it'll do for I don't know, 40 watts I think they were sold as. So nice little PAs those, but I never got around to using them. Right, not the same, but they'll do 150 watts. Okay, 150 watts ain't bad. Right, it's over to Martin, I think, isn't it? I don't think I've got anything else to show. So let's quickly transition and let more people get on. G0MJ.
Yeah, okay, Mike, thank you very much. G4FKK returning. Let's put that back on. And yeah, there's a bit of popping on your microphone, Mike. There's I don't know if you've got a windshield on it. Anyway, I run my audio through a pair of studio monitors, which have got plenty of low-end response, so it was pounding out there, and all very good from everybody. I was struggling a bit with John. I do need to tweak things on the dish here, because I'm about a dB or two down on nearly everybody on the beacon, etc. And so I was just losing John every now and again. And Bernie, excellent on the 70 meg amp. I'm a very keen supporter of 4 meters. There's my that's my 4 meter and 6 meter, as it turns out, amplifier. I built it for 4 meters, but with the 4 meter low pass filter on it, still will give out 300 watts on 6. It will do 300 watts on 4, but of course we're not allowed to do that. And I always run things with plenty of headroom anyway. I think my Ryde is even more minimal than yours, Noel, because I haven't got the I've just got the infrared detector plugged in like that. Sits on top of a power supply. What was else? What other notes have I got here? Oh yeah, the ES season on 6. No, looking forward to trying DVB on that. I've got a 2-element beam up at the moment for 6, but I might improve that. And yes, I'd worked out I needed 2 ports down 4s, so luckily I've got a spare, all the spare bits, including a 7-inch display I discovered. I'd forgotten I'd ordered. So that's good. James, DQH, the fire trees in Australia, in Western Australia, quite interesting, aren't they? I went up one once about 30 years ago, and it was hundreds of feet high, great big tree, some sort of redwood, I suppose. And you got up it, they just banged enormous, I mean, 3-foot long nails in a spiral right up to the top, where there was a lookout platform. So, but that was 30 years ago. I don't think I'd attempt that now. Well done on running the CW on HF, Richard, GI4DOH. Yeah, I've got this tatty old propelling pencil for CW use. and plenty of spare leads for it. Dave and Tim, yeah, quick tune with Ryde would be good, although I've got quite deft at the fiddling about with the remote control. Jim, the 28 volt power supply looks excellent. I'm running my amplifier off 28 volts on the output devices at the moment, but I am thinking of putting it up to 32. I was watching Gareth's signal the other day, and it was ever so clean, lovely straight edges. So I guess with a few more volts on it, you again more headroom. Okay, well that'll probably do for me. I've probably forgotten something I want to mention, but I don't know if anyone's going to be radiating DVB-T after this, but if they are, I shall watch with interest. And I'm not sure who's after me now. What did it say? Oh, Gareth next. Oh yeah, great to see you, Gareth, by the way, on the net. Superb. So back to you, Gareth, then. G4XAT and the BATC Net 73 from G4FKK.
It is I. It's me, G4XAT. Right, just a quickie. As I promised the wife I'd be down by 9. I've got a few minutes. Interesting to look at the spectrum on your spectrum analyzer, Dave. When I was exploring the Pluto's output or not earlier, I was just using my cheap little SDR and looking at it, and it is lovely and square-edged. I don't understand the differences at this point in time, but it works, so that's fine by me. Well, since we're all showing our minimalist rides, there's one, a cannibalized fan and a push button that doesn't reset it. That's from an earlier version, but it works. Why nothing ever catches fire, I don't know, but it's good that it doesn't. I suppose I'll turn the power down a bit, but whatever. I'll pass it round. Apologies, I'm not sure who's next. Bernie, right, GB, oh no, sorry, whatever. I'll sign out and see you all next week, hopefully, if not beforehand. Cheerio from G4X.
Okay, Gareth, thank you. G4HJW. Don't think I have an awful lot. I think with, yes, Martin, I was pleased somebody else was interested in 4 meters, ordinary 4 meters SSB. That's good. I was pleasantly shocked, because I don't know much about 4, I was pleasantly shocked on the last UKAC. That was the first time I'd really listened at that end of the band, because I've only just done the I hadn't even started. I wonder what I was listening to. I hadn't really started the transverter properly then, and I was just amazed how much came up with loads of stuff. So that really spurred me on, and that's really all I've been doing in the last month or so. I'm pleased I've got that done. I with a lot of projects, I find towards the end it's a bit of a struggle, and I'm ready for finishing. So the PA got a little bit rushed, which is why I want to redo that. I did that as a separate item. So we'll see what it's like next Thursday. I'll probably come on here, have an over, and then go back in for that UKAC. That should be good. Okay, on what you've got there, John. Good to see stuff on optical still happening. You really can't have too much heatsink, despite what somebody said earlier. I know it's a Chinese 3 watts, which is about 1.5 watts, but I wouldn't worry. That heatsink, as you say, isn't going to take up much light. But where you're going to get hold of a 7-inch pipe, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what you come up with. to match the mirror. That'll be good. I'm all out of bits. I sold the last Finning Mark II that I had to can't think who it was now. So that's pretty much all. I've got odds and ends left, but nothing I would want to pass on. So that means collecting material together. So, and I'm not in a rush to do any of that. So it'll be just interesting to see what you all do on 122 gigs with the optical on the side. I'm looking forward to hearing some reports. Oh, on that lead of yours, John, I don't know if you're intending to use that on receive. Because you're probably going to be in a plastic tube, you might find hum pickup is quite bad. So if you put some aluminium foil or something around the tube, the telescope tube, connect that to ground, you should be okay. And if you're going to use it as a receiver, and also if you are, I'll keep my fingers crossed that you don't have a diode junction in there that stops you really using it as a sensitive receiver. But you'll find all that out. You've got far enough on really just to plough ahead and just see what you get. And to be honest, that's most of the fun, isn't it? Jenny G0VQH was telling me she'd heard about the 122 gig boards. Don't know why I'm not hearing. I need to check up on that. I think they're due in March, so that'll be something else to play with here when that comes. And it'll be a bit warmer. And I'll be able to get rid of this because I'm in the outside shed, which will be very nice in the summer. That's not too good now. As you say, we're at 9 o'clock. That's not bad. I mean, in recent months we've been a lot later than this, and we're virtually finished. What else was there? Oh, Martin, 1942 you're on, are you? Jenny, VQH, we started out on 1942 about 20 years ago when Jenny was doing a lot of mobile. There was a period when we weren't very busy, and then the group in the Midlands started to come on there, and Jake, who is in this area, and that's become a standard frequency, I see. So I feel very nice to have been part of starting up on that frequency. I think we started there, or Jenny did, not really down to me. Right, I'm waffling as befits my age, so I'll wish everybody a good night, and on to you, Noel. And you're a bit younger, you can talk a bit of sense and leave us oldest to just reminisce, I think. So on to you from
Not sure if I'm much younger. Not sure if I'm much younger. Okay, not much to say other than Tim, it's got your address on it, so hopefully it'll be going in the post tomorrow. No, not much else to comment on. Glad I started a minimalist Ryde competition, quite amusing. Right, no stamp, don't need stamps. Post office puts stamps on. Wonderful system called Drop and Go. So great big long queue in post office. I just walk up the front and say, there we are, and everybody grimaces at you. Great fun. Trouble is they charge your credit card later. Anyway, right, not much else from me tonight, so I'll close and say 73s to all, and see you next week. Not sure, don't think James is going to be on, so could be Dave possibly. GI4DOH. I wonder if nobody's mentioned snow. We're obviously a southern England net. I think the north of England have had horrendous snow, but I guess they're probably not on. They wouldn't be able to get on if they'd had the snow, would they? Unless they'd been brave enough to go out there and knock the dish down. Right, cheers, JGD's out.
Evening all again. I try to show faith in my system and not say 1, 2, 3 repeatedly until I hear myself. I did forget to turn the volume down in advance, but that is done now. So, despite the pencil in my hand, keep forgetting to make notes, and again the memory's starting to go. By this time next week I shall be 65, so I can really consider myself to be an old man by then, in the true sense. So Martin, I do have a jam jar full of these beside the HF station, so if I drop them in the excitement I can always pick another one up, and I have an electric pencil sharpener. But this time of year where everybody wants GI for the first time for the year, it tends to be the 599 TU sort of response, with very few Ryde shoes as such. So my plans for the coming week, saying I've done nothing in the last week, it is my ambition to receive GB3 GNI or GB3 NGI on 23 centimeters. It should be possible because I can get the 70 centimeter beacon without any problem on a vertical here, and I do have a Yagi, not sure whether it's 8 or 10 element Yagi that has never been used in earnest. So it's trying to get all these things set up so when we come out of lockdown and all the rest, I'm not too far from the coast here, and indeed from the coast we can see the Cumbrian coast, we see Snowdon on a good day, and of course GM is not very far away from here, and of course GD is not too far either. So the intention is to try getting signals of some description, but the DATV thing is the thing that sort of captured my interest. I've had the capability for sideband on 3 meters and 70 centimeters for a couple of decades now, and it's never really motivated me. So that'll be the main thing for me. I do have 122 gigahertz setup, and I've had 2 QSOs with John GI7UGV at a distance of 30 meters or thereabouts in his garden. 1 QSO on CW and 1 on FM. So we're hoping to extend that at some stage, but obviously it's not appropriate at this moment in time. It's hard to sort of say that that's exercise, although it is getting you outdoors. So I wish you all a good night. It's again nice to be able to use equipment that I've been playing around in, sort of getting together and tying it all together, and it's nice to be able to switch on and have it work regardless of the weather. So I've made progress there. I think John said he was going to bed, so I assume it's back round to you, Dave. I don't see anything on the screen there, so I think it's you, Dave. G8 GKQ with the group. This is GI4DOH 73s. Good night all.
GI4DOH and the group G8GKQ. Okay, thanks for that. Interesting to hear you're working on 122 as well, Richard. That's not something I'm playing with. Volume 10.5. Yeah, all right. Is it distorting? Is the question. If it's not distorting, there we go. Right, if it's not distorting, it must be all right. It's just everybody else is a bit weak. It's clipping a bit. Yeah, okay, I'll turn it down a bit. Sorry. I'll just blow the speakers up. Yeah, 122, something I'm not playing with. I decided to give that a miss. I just haven't got the time. Yeah, Mike, if you're able to put up a too low now? Adds compressor to mic. Yeah, okay. Oh, that works now. Right. I'll stop looking at the chat and look at my list. Gareth, the waveform is nice and square because it's actually made up of a couple of thousand carriers with a very small amount of modulation on each of them. So that's why it's so square edged, because you just see the square edge of a carrier. Yeah, Rob I know is working tonight, but he's also I should imagine affected by snow. Noel, the TS input problem. I put TS viewer on menu 2 to enable instant testing of TS. So you need to have a go at just leave it on TS viewer and play with whatever's feeding the TS and get the settings right. It's probably the easiest way to sort it out. I need to calibrate my audio volume control. I can't drag the camera over to have a look at it, but I will do that in due course. What was I going to show? I was hoping that the really square-looking signal on 725 was DVB-T, but it isn't. I don't know if you're transmitting DVB-T yet, Mike. I was going to bring it up on my ports down, but possibly not. Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming on net tonight. It's been a good net. Quite a bit of interest around, and see you all here same time next week. GHGKQ closing the BATC net, and free for all, perhaps some DVB-T testing to go ahead from GHGKQ.